Man, let me tell you something. I remember back in the day when I used to love me some Family Guy. Kind of like with SpongeBob, I kind of stopped around certain eras of the show. You know, with SpongeBob, when it came out in what, 99? From basically season 1 up until around 2006. That's when I began to stop watching because the show was getting, I don't know, just a bit too out there for me and really was kind of stale. It didn't really hit like the classic episodes did. With Family Guy, I watched from when it first came out to about 2009 or 10 for similar reasons as SpongeBob. I just kind of fell out of the shows and the quality just wasn't there. But Seth MacFarlane, who was the creator of Family Guy, also created the Ted franchise. Of course, you know, you had both films. And this series was supposed to be something that came out a while ago. But, you know, hey, what can you do when the star of the film, aka Johnny, or should I be more specific, Mark Wahlberg, he was just too busy. Because Seth said that, you know, this series was supposed to come out quite a while ago, but it wouldn't be a prequel series. It would be like a continuation of the film franchise. But Mark was just, you know, too busy with other projects. So they just came up with this idea, which to me, I thought was actually really good. I truly enjoyed this series, all 7 episodes. I mean, my nephew, he wanted to watch it together. So yeah, we watched it together. And I know it's weird, but Ted is such a conflicting character. I'm a 32-year-old man, but sometimes when he's on screen and he just does something, like whether it be just simply moving around or his facial expression, I had to let out, oh, because at the end of the day, he is a flippin' teddy bear. Come on, he's adorable. Raunchy, but adorable. But yeah, I think what really made this show shine was that, I want to be honest here, I think I like the show better than the films. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the films for what they were, but I think the shows did pretty well because these are 7 episodes. I think the first episode was the longest at close to, if not like 50 minutes. And then you had a couple of 30-ish minutes ones in there and a couple 47-minute ones. But I don't think it dragged. It was 7 episodes that were really solid. And you could tell that Seth MacFarlane put his all into this series because the quality of the writing and the characters and the jokes, it truly felt like watching live action Family Guy, but back when Family Guy was good. It really was great. And shout out to John. Sorry about the chair squeaking. I promise you, when I move, my office is going to have a new computer chair. Max Burkholder, he portrayed John Bennett, the 16-year-old version of John. Great job with the Mark Wahlberg impression in terms of his accent. That was great. But also to his parents, Susan and Maddie portrayed by Scott Grimes. Because when I heard the voice, I don't recognize the man, but when I heard the voice, when like Maddie got really upset and started screaming, I'm like, I know this voice. And I looked it up. He voices Steve on American Dad. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Then the parents were great. I think what really made this show work was that even when the scene didn't focus on Ted or John, I actually cared about the other characters. And I feel like that's what really made me like the show. And his cousin Blair, who actually did a great job. She was like the killjoy, but at the same time, just the kind of person needed in John and Ted's lives to kind of, you know, keep them in line, even though more often than not, she kind of fails at that, you know, function. But she had an interesting storyline too. Very attractive too, because I looked up the actress and I'm like, yeah, she's fine. But very talented as well. I think everybody bounced off each other well. Yeah, Blair was fine, but especially in the Catwoman outfit during episode 4, because she's a college student. So it's cool to have somebody older than John, but just old enough where it's like, okay, yeah, I remember what it was like being a teenager in high school and whatnot, because go back a couple years, I was there. Okay. But I think what really made this episode series work, it definitely captured the essence of the 90s, because this series took place in, I believe, 1993. Yeah, because it kind of covered John's junior year in high school. So yeah, we had a Halloween, a Christmas episode, then the finale was prom, and then they talked about the summer before senior year. So yeah, basically, 93, 94. I think what really made this show work was that it wasn't overly crude with the jokes. I mean, yeah, there were some definite moments where I'm like, yep, you could tell this is Family Guy-esque, but for the most part, it felt like the comedy came off the screen because of the timing and the acting, where even when moments that didn't involve any sort of crude humor or profanity, I got great laughs out of them. Now, I think my favorite bit, because there are so many to choose from, my favorite bit from the series was episode 4, when Blair and Ted are walking down the sidewalk and they're taking a bite of the McDonald's apple pie, and they both freak out because it's so hot. And then Ted bites it again, throws it into, he just throws it out onto the street, and then it lands in some crumbled up newspaper and whatnot, and then it spontaneously combusts. And his reaction is like, this GD effing night. I was done. I've rewound that part so many times. There are a lot of gems, but that moment to me was the best. I think my favorite Maddie moment was in the finale when he talked to John when he didn't want to go to junior prom. And he was like, look, life is nothing but a series of embarrassments, and you only get so many nights like this in your life. When you become an adult, there are no junior proms. And Maddie was a very divisive character throughout the series because of his, prejudice and things like that. But I love those moments where you could tell he truly does care about his wife, his son, his niece, basically his family in general. Those were the moments where he shined, because they were rare, but when Maddie showed he cared, you really felt it. His mom was a bit of a pushover, way too agreeable and whatnot, but the actress played the role very well. I love the Christmas episode because she sang Silent Night, and Maddie gave her a karaoke machine at the end to show, hey, I didn't go to church to watch you sing, but hey, here's a machine, sing for me now. I like that. Now, when it comes to the episodes, which one was my favorite? I mean, there were a lot of nods to, the movies, like, hey, episode 1 is when Ted and John first tried drugs, and then the very final scene of the series was when they came up with the idea for the Thunder Buddies song, which was great. But yeah, from pornography to drugs to, the holiday episodes, sexual education, things like that, prom. They really covered a lot of the high school, and bullies and whatnot. They really covered a lot of the elements of, a high school sitcom. Now, to me personally, it does get a bit redundant when there are episodes and shows where it's like, and this is the tolerance episode where we cover, family members that are a family member that comes out as gay, sexually fluid, or whatever have you. Episode 6, that's what it felt. I think episode 6, while I didn't dislike the episode, I think this was the episode that had the least amount of Ted and John, and it was mainly focused on Blair, her college friend Sarah, who's also her girlfriend, staying for Christmas, and then, it is revealed that she's sexually fluid, and then Maddie and his truck that came to life, that's a whole thing, just like Ted. They go off, and then there's a lot of friction between the two, and then it's like, oh, it doesn't matter, I still love you for who you are, please come back to enjoy the holiday with us. So yeah, it's a good message, but I'm like, I think in the Best Man holiday, or the Best Man the final chapters, they did something like that with Morris Chestnut's son, who I guess went by different pronouns and wore makeup, and I don't know. It's just like, it feels like kind of forced in almost every media project nowadays. But yeah, Blair was probably one of my favorite characters. I mean, yeah, she could be a bit of a killjoy, and it's always like that one character who always has to talk about, hey, you know, it's a new era, women ought to be doing this and that. But no, I think she had some great moments in the show, and she really came through as a big sister figure for both John and Ted. But yeah, Ted was adorable. For the most part, I don't think there were many moments where Ted felt like he wasn't real. I know that sounds weird to say, but like the CGI or, you know, whatever technology was used for Ted, I think there were maybe a couple of moments where it's kind of like, no, I don't think that it really looked that great. But I mean, let me put it this way. Ted, at his worst in terms of how he looked on screen, was superior to the best of how She-Hulk looked in the Disney Plus series. But yeah, Ted is adorable. He's hilarious. I highly recommend this series if you need a good laugh. If you're a fan of classic Family Guy humor, this is the show for you. However, there were some moments where some of the, you know, like live action, well, I mean, aside from Ted and that truck, everybody else is a human actor. Yeah, there were some moments like in episode 1 when Ted and John go to the bank, the Ted safety deposit box, to get something, and then like the bank employee to help him out. There was like this weird moment where you could tell, like, okay, if this was in American Dad or Family Guy, it would kind of work. But when it's a scene where it's like a grown man talking to a teenager and a teddy bear about invisible diapers or something like that, and it felt kind of stiff and awkward. There were maybe three scenes like that throughout the entire series. Like when episode 2, when John has to go to the bathroom, but he doesn't want to run into his bully, and then he's nervous to take a leak in front of another person, and then the guy just says, hey, don't worry about it, take your time. It's moments like that where it's like, eh. But other than that, great series. They left the door open for season 2, covering the senior year of John and Ted in high school. I'm here for it. Also, John and what's her name, Bethany, his date in the final episode, and they were about to have sex. I was rooting for John, like, yeah, but then things didn't turn out how he planned. I'm like, no. So my theory is maybe she comes back from Italy and she's pregnant or something, but that's just a theory. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I thought Ted was hilarious. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 teddy bears. Let's talk about in the comments. What was your favorite episode? What were some of your favorite moments? I loved it.